Anytime.
So I'll reach out.
And welcome to the Grand Rapids Community College Board of Trustees meeting for Monday, March 19, 2024. Trustees and Dr. Lepper, I wonder if there are any guests in the audience that you might want to introduce?
I have some. So earlier, or I should say last month, I had the opportunity to accompany our team to the Bellwether Consortium Coalition Award, where we were one of 10 finalists in the nation for an innovation with our medical apprenticeship program. And so that team is here today who prepared us and also presented at that event. So they are here. So if I could just have them be recognized as I call her name. Lorena Aguayo Marquez, who's our program manager for Strengthening Community Colleges Health Career Pathways. Summer Madrid, Health Education Training Specialist and Workforce Training. Julie Lackscheid, who is our Interim Program Director for Allied Health and Radiological Technology Program Manager. Lisa Raddick, who's our Dean of Health Sciences. Ellie Bainbridge, who's the Program Manager for Community Outreach, and she did a lot of the design with our display and booklet that was submitted. That was part of the evaluation process. Class Quant, Director of IT Media, for his work with the video submission. Julie Parks, who's our Dean for Workforce Training. And also a big thanks to our GRCC graphics team and communication team with helping design and submit our nomination. So it's quite an honor for us to be recognized as one of the 10 finalists in the nation. So hats off to this team for making that happen.
Thank you for representing us so well. And we'll move into our first order of business for today, which is the approval of the agenda. Trustees, please note that this is the time to remove any items from the consent agenda for separate consideration if necessary. Might there be any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Okay. So may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move. Support.
Okay. Is there any discussion? And the discussion would be around any of the items on the agenda? No? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll recognize any public comments. Yeah. And not seeing any, moving on to the next topic, which is our special order of business. So may I have a... Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask Chief Whitman, GRCC Campus Police, to come to the podium. There we go. By the way, Trustee Dave is sitting back and enjoying the transition and a little awkwardness, but we'll get it together. Welcome.
No worries.
Thank you.
So, good afternoon, Chairperson, Lovelady Mitchell, Trustees, and Dr. Lepper. I come before you again on an annual basis to request that you approve the Grand Rapids Community College Public Safety Advisory Committee, which is required under the Community College Act of 1966. My recommendations are the same members as last year, which would be Dr. Grant Snyder, Dave Selman, Nikki Smith, and Hillary Haney.
I have a motion to approve the 2024 Public Safety Advisory Committee.
So moved. Support.
And we have a second. Is there any discussion? All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
And the next agenda item, we'll ask for Vice President of Finance and Administration to the podium, Lisa Freiberger.
Good afternoon, thank you. This resolution before you is one that is required by our State School Aid Act. They ask for you as a board to approve the estimates for property tax and state appropriations in advance of our entire budgeting process. So this is something you have seen before. You will see the general estimates for property taxes and state appropriation there in the resolution. Just a couple of notes with the property tax. General fund is about 41 million of that, with the balance going into plant fund to service debt. And then with the state appropriation, the actual operating appropriation is approximately 21 million of that, with the balance being related to our MIPSRS payments, both the one-time payments and our unfunded accrued liability that runs through the state aid and comes back into expense. This is simply a requirement of the State Aid Act. Be happy to answer any additional questions that you might have.
May I have a motion to approve the 2024 estimate of taxes and appropriation as presented?
So moved.
I heard a first and a second. Capture. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And the motion carries. Thank you. And our next item, I think you actually could have stayed up here. I apologize. And in particular, I think that you're going to share a little bit about the finance update.
Yes, thank you. So the financial statements were included in your packet as well as the purchasing agenda. As you can see, we are on track with budget and general fund for both revenue and expenses. One thing that I would like to point out as you're looking at the building and site fund and perhaps looking at the purchasing agenda action items as well, we are moving forward with the Ford Rec Center. That is going along beautifully. We are on target to start that construction this summer with a completion date of fall of 2025. You'll notice in your adopted budget, the full $12.5 million original estimated budget is there. We are beginning to incur some expenses primarily for design work, and will likely be bringing you back a revised budget number as we move closer towards construction, but we are in that process now. And then also included in your action item purchasing agenda section would be the full cost of the Learning Resource Center construction. Large number, 33.8 million in your purchasing agenda as an action item. Remember, the state through the capital outlay process is covering half of that, but because we will pay the entire thing and then get reimbursed from the state, the full cost for that project, AECM and all construction is included in that number. There is some minor LRC renovation costs beginning to show up in your plant fund. The bulk of that will begin next fiscal year, so you'll see a much larger budget then. Other than that, I would be happy to answer any additional questions you might have.
Lisa, is there a policy regarding time frame between the college's outlay and the state's reimbursement?
There is a very prescribed process for the entire state capital outlay. It's a great question. There are a number of milestones that we need to walk with the state through, all the way through the process. The first is that once you consider the architect and the construction manager for the LRC as part of your agenda tonight, we need to turn around tomorrow and send them the process that we used to select both of those professional partners, and then get that to you. That process will continue. We'll have to give them steps along the way, including our schematic design, which they'll have to approve before we can move forward. And then ultimately the full legislature will need to consider us for construction approval once they approve our schematic design information. And then we have to spend all of our resource first, getting to your original question about reimbursement. So we have to spend our full half first, and then once that happens, they will begin reimbursing us on a monthly basis, more or less, once we start incurring funds beyond our half.
Thank you. I have a question about
whether and to what degree campus, student, staff, faculty input has been collected on the design of the Ford?
For the LRC or the rec center?
Actually, either, both.
Rec center, we're much farther along for the
Okay.
rec center. So we haven't had a very robust input design process for the recreation center. We're very excited about it. There's been a core steering committee that has been led by our facilities team and our construction partner and our architecture partner, that has included faculty as well as our academic leadership, has included athletics, has included the operation team at the field house, has included student representation. And then beyond that, we have done a number of outreach sessions with the entire campus community, with the users of the field house, with our students. Vicki and Whitney from the field house attended one of our student leadership town halls. We've had design boards up and a sticky note fair, if you will, and invited people to walk through and look at everything and provide feedback. That was all incorporated and provided to our architectural design partners. And we are now in that process of looking at the large design and everything that was included, which is a critical first step, and then getting us back to reconciling that to the available dollars that we have to spend.
Okay.
So we're in that balancing process.
Right.
And then with the LRC, there is a steering committee that's been formed of all of the users, occupants of the LRC as it exists, as well as those that will be moving in. And we are just in the infancy stages of going through that, very entry-level design process. So there'll be much more to come, and we will have a very robust input, very similar to what we did with the rec center. We will invite student voices into that process, as well as many others across the campus.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Siegel, were you done with your question? I thought you.
Thank you.
Okay. And thank you. Other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So our next report for information is on cybersecurity. So we'll call Chief Information Officer Deborah Hintz up to the podium, please. And if I mispronounce your name, please help us with that.
No, that's correct.
Okay, good.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity to share this update with you. I'm here to talk to you about the Graham-Leach-Bliley Act, but first I'd like to acknowledge GRCC's historic and ongoing commitment to the importance of data and network security. Each day, any organization that's connected to the internet is under continual threat. As we know, community colleges are prime targets with limited resources. But when COVID funds were made available, GRCC understood the importance of data and network security and invested in additional firewall and other hardware and detection and response systems to improve our security posture. Our security logs show that on an average day, we see over 150,000 threats against our firewalls. But our system's ability to drop and block, along with ongoing monitoring, have contributed to our security thus far. At GRCC, we've made a priority of securing our network and systems to ensure our student and employee data is protected. Our recent 4-year agreement with the KnowBe4 training platform and the addition of a new full-time IT security analyst are evidence of that commitment. KnowBe4 is the world's largest integrated platform for security awareness training combined with simulated phishing attacks. This platform allows us to send phishing emails to employee groups as a test, followed by specific remedial training to individuals who need additional support understanding how to identify potential phishing emails. Training users is equally important as the network security measures we have in place. The Graham-Leach-Bliley Act is a law that applies to financial institutions and includes privacy and information security provisions that are designed to protect consumer financial data. The law applies to how higher education institutions collect, store, and process consumer financial data, student financial records which contain personally identifiable information, and that includes records related to student tuition payments and financial aid. GLBA regulations include a privacy rule and a safeguards rule, both of which are enforced by the Federal Trade Commission. Colleges and universities are deemed to be in compliance with the GLBA privacy rule if they are in compliance with the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, which is FERPA. The safeguards rule requires us to have measures in place to keep consumer and customer information secure. One of those requirements of the GLBA safeguards rule is a document known as the Information Security Program. The Information Security Program, which is posted on our website, is a document that describes many of the activities the college currently undertakes and will undertake to maintain covered data according to legal and college requirements. For example, GRCC is required to name a security program coordinator, which is me, and I'm required to report annually to our board. More importantly, we're required to establish an incident response plan, identify and address risks, test effectiveness of our safeguards, implement appropriate policies and procedures, and provide for staff training. And we are doing all of those things. An example of one safeguard is our incident response team, which is led by Chief Information Security Officer Brandon Keynes and includes the directors from each of the 7 IT departments. Brandon plans and leads a scheduled tabletop exercise each year in order to work through various threat, breach, and recovery scenarios to help keep us prepared for an event. I'll close by sharing that in my world, we talk about what we will do when, not if, we experience a breach. However, in my many years in IT, I've never worked with a better group of colleagues, and that's due to their commitment to stay current and educated in their respective specialties, their dedication to this institution, and their professionalism and respect for one another. And I'd be happy to answer questions now if you have any, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Trustees?
I've got a couple of questions. Phishing campaigns is a great tool to test the effectiveness of your system. Do you have any idea what your click rate is for phishing campaigns?
Absolutely. We launched our first one back in the fall, and our click rate was 4%, which is actually quite good. That speaks to, even though this is a new platform, it speaks to the training that went on prior to last fall. So there was a lot of awareness. Our next campaign was a little bit trickier, and that click rate was 13%. That one was around January, February timeframe. And we just had a recent one. I don't have the click rate for that one yet, but we do monitor that each time.
And also, do you have third parties come in and test the effectiveness as well, or?
We do. We have third-party assessment annually that does penetration testing, and then we look at everything that comes back in that report, and we address anything that needs to be remediated. We also do OneTrust risk assessments for all of our third-party vendors. Every time we want to consider onboarding any new software, we go through that process with those vendors.
Thank you.
Trustees, any additional questions or comments?
One question around data. I know that the college is doing more and more with data and visualization and to an extent collection as well. Do you have a pretty strong relationship, I imagine, with that work moving forward?
We do. Part of our work involves data governance, and that is being led by our institutional research department. But it's a collaborative effort, and there are people, my director of enterprise applications sits on that team, and I have other people from the division who are involved in that work as well.
And if there are no other questions, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we are moving into the update segment of our report. I do not believe we have a student report, and so I would like to ask Erin Van Egmond, Interim Vice President for College Advancement and Executive Director of the GRCC Foundation, to come up for a foundation update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So good afternoon, President Lepper, Chairperson Lovelady Mitchell, Misty McClure-Anderson, and Board of Trustees members. I'm pleased to provide you with a few updates from our foundation team regarding the work we've been doing and also planning for the upcoming months. The last time I provided you an update was in October, just before our ScholarFest event. And at ScholarFest, if you don't remember, we honored Dr. Jim Bezzetta and his family for their generosity and commitment to GRCC. Alumni chefs prepared the Italian-themed menu for the evening, and they were assisted by current students in the culinary program. In total, we raised $149,000 with proceeds totaling $134,000. Another great stat about this event is that we had 141 registered guests and 131 attended. That's pretty rare for event attendance, so we were pretty pleased with that. Another event we raised funds for recently was the Giant event, which took place in February. We raised just over $200,000 with proceeds totaling $88,000, and there were 900 individuals in attendance for that event. And I want to add that these were two large events that were only 3 months apart too, so we were pretty happy with those outcomes. Next, I would like to share with you an update on scholarships. So for the 23-24 academic year, we have awarded just over $1 million to 1,300 students. And this leaves us with some additional funds to award students for the upcoming summer semester. This past Friday, March 15th, was our priority deadline for scholarships awarded for the 24-25 academic year. We had over 2,000 students apply, and today have already begun awarding. A process change we have implemented this year is to award scholarships that are for high school seniors first, so that GRCC is top of mind when deciding where to attend in the fall. The other change we made to our process is around need-based scholarships. So some scholarships will look at financial need as part of the criteria, and in order to determine need, we need to look at FAFSA data. So you might have heard a few things about the FAFSA this year. So many schools, as you know, have not received FAFSA data yet to begin packaging awards. So we've actually been preparing for this possible delay for a couple of months now, and in preparation, we have determined which scholarships do not require need, and we will award those first. Once we begin receiving that FAFSA data, we can start awarding scholarships with need, and we'll do a comparison of the awards already made to ensure a student is receiving the highest dollar scholarship they are eligible for. So there are just a few changes this year to navigate, but we have been planning and prepared to ensure students receive the highest dollar value they are eligible for. And as a reminder, March 15th was our priority deadline. If a student did not apply by that date, they can still fill out an application, and we will consider applications received after the priority deadline when we start our re-awarding process. I wanted to end my update sharing some good news with you about a couple of national awards our college advancement teams won just over the weekend. So last week at the National Council of Marketing and Public Relations Conference, we learned that the Foundation Annual Report won a Gold Paragon Award, and this is for the 4th year in a row. So congratulations to Mary Reed, Lisa Kirshner, and Julie Murray for their collaborative work on this for the last 4 years. We also took home a Gold Paragon Award for our Instagram page, so congratulations to our social media coordinator, Kaylee Potgetter, for her creative work. And last but not least, we earned a Bronze Paragon Award for the design work for the remodel of the Heritage, the Piazza, and Foodology. Congratulations to Alyssa Gorski, Ben Benefiel, and Lisa Kirshner for this award. We are really proud of the award-winning work they continue to produce year after year. And with that, that is my update for you today. I'm happy to take any questions.
I don't have a question, but I just want to thank you for being well prepared and for planning in advance of the FAFSA snags that are happening, and going to the trouble. I'm sure that's labor intensive to look at which applications for scholarships are need-based. So thank you very much for that. That
Absolutely.
benefits our students.
Additional comments or questions?
Yeah, just another comment. Given the changes, the leadership changes we've had over the last 12 months, I thought the Giants banquet once again lived up to everyone's expectations of what that event ought to be. So hats off to all of those who zigzagged their way through that whole planning process. It came across very, very well.
Yeah, there was a lot of help in planning that, so thank you.
Erin, you said 2,000 students applied for
Yep.
scholarship. I think that in itself is telling. It's
Sure.
remarkable amount of students, and it shows the high profile of the foundation in the milieu of the college, so thank you.
Our team has done a really good job about strategically promoting the scholarship opportunity to high school seniors, counselors, and then also current students, so that shows, so thank you.
With the difficulties with the FAFSA process this year, related to your question, how are we communicating to high school seniors that are delayed, and how are we communicating with our own students that may be delayed? Make sure they understand what's going on.
Well, we have done a number of things in sending out information, encouraging folks to continue just to wait the process. We're actually developing some additional marketing communication to go out to adults and also high school population using the SAT data and also college app that we subscribe to. And so there are a number of things going on in process, and also we have a team in academics and finance meeting to have a process prepared that we aren't dropping or losing students because of non-payment, and so trying to line all those processes up. The good news is that a few schools have started to receive their information from the Department of Ed, but they haven't opened the floodgates. And so we have also been, our financial aid office has been going through a lot of the testing processes on the protocol that we know and the script. And so we're trying everything that we can on the front end so that when we start to do that, we can just go full force and get that done. So a lot of prep work on the front end so that we can move quickly when we start to get that information. Ann, would you add anything to that?
The one thing that I would add is that we are continuing to ramp up our FAFSA completion events and also beginning to spread the word to our returning students about that, because unfortunately without the FAFSA data, we cannot tell who has and who hasn't completed the FAFSA.
Additional questions or comments? Well, thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
And so we are moving to our president's update, and so we'll have President Dr. Lepper.
Great, thank you. So on the top of my list, we all know that there's a water issue disruption here in Grand Rapids, and so we've taken several steps as a college. We are expecting this to last till Wednesday at the earliest. Could last beyond that. So last evening we sent a rave message to all of our employees and also all of our students, encouraging them to bring their own water to campus. We are providing water to places like the Early Childhood Learning Lab. So we have fresh water there to make sure that our littles are well taken care of. And we have bagged all the drinking fountains and put in other precautions, but we've also gone the extra step in making sure that all of our hand sanitizers are filled, posting notices. We'll just continue to monitor that situation. And unless we are completely without water, we will continue to be open. This is a critical point in the semester for us. And so as long as we have water, we will be open. I've been asked a few times about that, and I imagine some of you have also been asked that question. But where we're at now, we'll just continue to monitor, and the reports I'm getting from across the college is that we're managing quite well. And so I haven't heard any concerns. Just a reminder that next week is the Higher Learning Commission. We submitted our assurance argument. You all have seen that. We will wait the outcome of that. Sometime we'll know during the summer. We'll have some sense of that before the team leaves on Wednesday of next week. And so more to come on that. We have also an update on the provost search, narrowed to 3 finalists: Dr. Sheila Jones from GRCC, Dr. Michael Pullen, who is the current Dean of Academic Initiatives at Queensborough Community College in New York, and Dr. Daniel Powell, who's the Vice President for Academic Success at Northwest Vista in San Antonio, Texas. So those candidates will be on campus Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week. I'm spending an entire day meeting with folks and having forums across campus. So we will have that process wrapped up late April, early May. So I anticipate that we'll have a successful outcome and be able to announce who our provost will be moving forward before the end of the semester, so that faculty and students have that information. I'll also just share a quick update on the Vice President for People, Culture, and Equity position. We, at last count, had 58 applicants for that position. The committee is in the process of reviewing those applications. Dean Julie Parks is one of the co-chairs of that committee, and I met with him this morning. And we also are going to try to have that one wrapped up by mid-May as well. So we have folks nationally and locally who've applied for that position, who come from a variety of different experiences and backgrounds. And so we'll review those 58 applications, do a first round interview, and what I've charged them to do is to narrow that field of 58 to 3 to bring to campus. Easy task, yes. But I'm 100% confident they'll be able to do that. Lastly, I'll just, under just some kind of community connections, mention that in the last couple of weeks, we've hosted the Hispanic Youth Leadership Conference, where we had 1,000 students on our campus. We also hosted the Young Black Males Achievement Conference, where we had 800 students on campus. And also Christy Hake, who is here, worked with a junior achievement. And we also hosted the Girls STEM event, where we had 200 young women on our campus learning about STEM and the STEM professions within STEM. And that concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
Questions or comments, trustees?
I'm curious what you're bringing in 800 or 900 young folks, and what's the connection point? Like how once they're here, are we doing anything to stay in touch with that group directly?
We have historically not. We are engaged in conversations with kind of the sponsoring institutions, the Urban League and GRPS, to see how we can do that. Because they are minors, there's some privacy issues that we have to work through from that as well. But we're making an effort to try to do that this year and in the future.
Okay, thank you so much. And so our last update will come from Dr. Frank Connor, Faculty Association President. We'll ask him to come to the podium.
I do apologize. There was an error in the agenda. It was my fault, not Misty's, but we all knew that.
We would have assumed that anyway.
And Misty said, I'll take care of it. And I said, I know you will, because she does. Also, should have assumed, this is my last opportunity to speak to the board, both as an employee of GRCC and the president of the Faculty Associations. I'm not going to give that up. So thank you for having me. I want to share my observations of attending 8 years of board meetings. As the Faculty Association president, it is my duty to attend these meetings, and while I speak infrequently, I do always observe. I want to talk about these observations through the lens of my discipline. I'm a sociocultural theorist. While we know that psychologists focus on individuals, my theoretical perspective as a sociocultural theorist and as a sociocultural psychologist is that we believe that individual meaning making is coupled with society, culture, norms, and the other people in our immediate circle. That meaning making isn't here, but it's here. It's shared between our community, our communities of practice, and ourselves. And so simply said, through our daily interactions and individual meaning making, we form a community of practice, a group of individuals that share our collective understanding of a specific and important part of our world. And in this case, I'm going to talk about my observations of this meeting. Here's what I've observed. At every board meeting, one of 3 areas of the college have a voice. Typically all 3. Today we heard from 2. Maybe there'll be a 3rd one. These are finance, the foundation, and industry training grants. These are all important parts of the college, no question about it. But what's missing? It's academics. The core reason we exist doesn't have equal membership in the board's community of practice. Many meetings pass when academics are not part of the agenda. I can't speak to their presence in work sessions, retreats, community circles, etc. I'm not there. I'm going to guess many times they aren't either. And I'm not talking about just a formal presentation here and there, because they do that. But I want you to notice about how certain members are part of your community. And one way you can do that is to notice the casual way in which you interact with individuals. Praise, non-formal language, laughter. This speaks to a relationship that's open and trusting, where what those people say are more accepted as truth and have an impact on your understanding of GRCC. I'm not suggesting that's wrong. I'm not here to criticize those other 3 groups. We would not exist without them. There's no question about that. But what I'm suggesting is, without having without having academics present in an equal way and building the same kind of relationship, you're always experiencing a partial understanding of the institution. This isn't new, actually. It's changed. I've noticed it, not only with the board, but with the college as a whole. When I started 8 years ago, Dr. Lori Chesley was provost. And one of the things I noticed was that whether she was presenting or not, President Ender at the time would oftentimes call on her, almost every meeting, to add depth or clarity to any presentation. So the presence of academics was always there. With a new president, with a new provost, that seemed to fade away. It seemed to become more formal. I very much appreciate this board's adherence to policy governance. You're great at it. I'm not asking you to break that wall. But there was a time when I knew every board member because faculty and academic administrators interacted with them regularly. We facilitated the community conversations. We traveled together. We went to meetings together. The provost had a regular spot on every board meeting, as do other groups now. The provosts would speak themselves, would invite deans, other academic units, faculty, etc., to speak on areas of interest and importance. And this was long before I was a faculty association president. I could speak casually to every board member. I knew them by name, as did many faculty. I don't think that's the case today. So that's my observation. Here's my challenge. If you want to fully understand GRCC, the provost, the leader of academics, should always be in the room when the board meets with anyone other than just the president. The president always gets a pass. In addition, find ways to know the college through the eyes of the deans, the associate deans, faculty, people who are in charge of academics. It's not about letting others create policy or removing the voice of others, but it's about you knowing the entire spectrum of the college so you understand that the policies you create are representative of all of our reason, and in fact our primary reason for existing in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again, Dr. Connor. And Trustee Secretary, Dr. Williams, I don't think we have a community connections.
No.
That's true. And so I will move on to the consent items. Now is the time that we will move into our approval of the consent items. May I have a motion to approve consent items at this time?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Might there be any discussion needed? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Purchasing items for over $100,000. May I have a motion to approve the purchasing items over $100,000?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Support.
Might there be any discussion needed? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And the motion carries. I am going to ask Vice President Freiberg to come back to the podium to enter into our tuition rates for 2024-2025.
Thank you. We are bringing this evening for your consideration the tuition rates, which would be, if approved, applicable for fall of 2024 and forward. Those rates are pleased to be able to share. We have worked diligently looking at budgets, projections, trying to project with all that we have around what state aid, what property taxes will be as we move forward. With all of that together, coupled with looking at the needs and budget requests across the institution as we have them at this point, we are bringing to you a recommendation for a 3% tuition increase, which results in a $4 per contact hour increase in our resident tuition rate. So that rate would move from the current rate of $120 per contact hour to $124 per contact hour. We are recommending that all other rates be increased accordingly in the same percentage. So we would add $8 to the non-resident rate and $12 to the out-of-state rate, making those $261 and $392 respectively. And then we would propose to increase all other rates charged on a per contact hour basis. Our differential rate, tier 1 and 2, our rate that we charge for dual enrollment, our job training rate, and our construction trades rate to be all increased at that approximate 3%, rounded of course, but at a 3% increase. We have worked with our early childhood team and are recommending rates for all of our preschool, different rates that are rates per week for infant, toddler, preschool, and then we have a daily rate based on the work they have done, benchmarking out in the community, coupled with the excellence that our preschool provides. We are recommending rates in approximately 5% for those across the board. There are no recommendations in any of our universal fees, with the exception of a recommendation to increase our part-time campus activities fee. Currently, our campus activities fee, which is provided to our student leadership to allocate to student clubs and orgs across the institution, is currently $5 per semester if you have less than 9 contact hours, and $10 if you are over 9 contact hours. Their proposal, with which we concur, is to change both of those to $10. Our part-time students and our full-time students have same access to all of the activities on campus, participation in all of our clubs and orgs, and that is their recommendation, which again we would support. No other proposed increases in any of our universal fees.
And I just want to be clear with the Board of Trustees is that the campus activity fee proposal came from our Student Government Association. They saw input from students around campus, and they brought this to us as a proposal.
With that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Otherwise, we'll look for consideration.
Could you just help put this in the context of the last 2-3 years? I know through the pandemic and other things, we've talked about tuition increases and how to pay attention to that sort of in the larger sense of what's happening in society and in our region. So
Yes,
could you just help kind
absolutely.
of put this 3% in the context of the last 3 or 4 years?
Yes, thank you. And we have worked collectively with you and with our full team diligently, recognizing that we want to remain a full open access institution, and we are very mindful of costs passed on to our students. So if you look at the past several years, we have had 2 years of increases of less than 2%. So we have moved from, in 21-22, 117 to 118 to 120. So very minimal increases since 21-22, and over the pandemic from 2021 to 21-22, we actually froze tuition. So we are in essence looking at a change during the height of the pandemic, 2021, of $117 per contact hour, moving to a proposed of $124. So what we feel are very much minimal increases, recognizing that all increases have an impact on students. So we are certainly not unaware of that, but really working hard to make those just as minimal as possible, as we work also to, again, to recognize rising costs, recognize the requests that are there, and trying to make sure we continue to meet students' needs and provide the services that they need while they are here on campus.
Could you just give a little more context? I know that previously we spoke, for example, with preschool, we're still below market.
We are.
So that's good. In the last several years, 117, 118, 120, but could you just compare that number to other institutions? Even though the increase has been small, we're still better than most institutions as far as credit hours.
From the credit hour, yes, we are still significantly below average if you look at all 28 community college in total tuition and fees. Yes. And you are actually also right that our preschool, our early childhood center does an amazing job with benchmarking institutions out in our community. And this still leaves us fairly significantly below what the standard rate is for early childhood education and preschool care in our community.
Lisa, I know this tuition is just a piece of the total revenue that we anticipate. But this 3% gives us the opportunity to provide additional programming over what we're providing now, or does this 3% allow us just to cover the cost of current program?
Both, I would say, is the answer to that question. We are, as we speak, and we've brought to you over the past, both in November and in February, some requests for increases as we work to continue to meet student needs. An example of that would be the counselor position that we requested your approval of in February as part of our mid-year budget. We realize student mental health is a huge need on our campus for our students, and we are working to analyze all of that. So there will be some increased costs associated with the tuition as we work to continue to meet student needs. And we are also recognizing the fact that costs across the board are going up. As much as we try to minimize that, we are facing that, as is, I think, everyone in the community.
You answered that the way I'd hoped you would. So often, as a board, it's easy to fall into the trap of just being focused on tuition. And we become tuition-driven as opposed to mission-driven. And it takes an incredible piece of magic at times to be sensitive to tuition, but also be sensitive to what are we saying no to in terms of program and program enhancement. So just applaud you and your staff for trying to find that sweet spot between being sensitive to tuition as well as new opportunities to serve.
Other questions or comments? No? Thank you so much. Let's see, so may I have a motion to approve not to increase the 2024-2025 tuition rates? Did I say that wrong? I did?
I'm sorry, I didn't change that.
Oh. Well,
You read it wrong, you didn't say it wrong, right?
I read it was on
You didn't
my
say it wrong,
paper.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
let me just say it like this.
Yeah.
May I have a motion to approve the increase of the 24-25 tuition rates? Is that better?
So moved.
All right, support.
Support.
That's what I get, right?
Yeah. Just checking
Any
that.
discussion? Just trying to see if y'all are okay. Any
Yeah.
discussion? No? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. And so we're in that juncture where we hold space for 3-minute public comments. And so we're holding space if anyone in the audience would like to address the board regarding any matter, knowing that we will not respond. Okay. Not seeing any, I'll transition to the last opportunity for our trustees to have any final board comments.
I want to thank Dr. Connor very much for his comments, not just today, but at all of our meetings, which provoke a lot of thought and make really important points. And as for your comments this evening, we're a comprehensive community college, and I really appreciate your comments, and we'll be thinking about them. The second thing I want to comment on is the modest tuition increase that we just passed is tempered in my mind by the number of scholarship opportunities that our incoming and existing students have right now. We have on the federal level Pell Grants. We have on the state level the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, which I believe 80% of our incoming students will be eligible for. Locally, we have the Grand Rapids Promise, and then right here, hyper-locally, as Erin just reported, we have our own foundation that remarkably gave them $1 million, just over $1 million in scholarships for this academic year. So raising tuition is never easy for any of us. It's not easy for me, but it's tempered by the fact that there are those scholarship opportunities out there. And I would just encourage students to fill out the FAFSA. It'll be sorted out soon, and that's how we know what you're eligible for. So, thank you.
Well said.
Trustees, other trustees?
I just want to reiterate the importance and the value that touch points have on young people, and this notion that we are able to continue to bring young men and women to the campus at a very early age is I believe, a significant importance, and so I'm very happy to see that the college is continuing to move in that direction. I'm also happy to hear that potentially there might be an opportunity to better track those touch points along the way from an early age all the way into the graduation point for those students. So I'm excited for the potential for that and the opportunity for that between GRCC and some of our partners. I've certainly seen it happen in other spaces across the state, and I'm hopeful that also happens here, because it's another way for us to be able to not only bring the students here at an early age, but continue to bring them back. And we know that those relationships are important. The earlier the better. So I appreciate seeing that with some of the groups that are coming to the campus. So thank you for that.
I also want to just briefly broach the subject of AI and the ease of plagiarizing, and that I was heartened to hear, because we're on the forefront of a task force devoted to the parameters in regard to what is plagiarism, what is the context, and the ability of students to transfer intellectual property into their own work, and broaching the subject of ethical behavior in general on the part of our students. So I know that our faculty in their classrooms are addressing ethics in general and this specifically, so I commend them for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustees, any other comments? Okay. Well, thank you so much. And so thank you, community, Dr. Lepper, trustees and staff for a great meeting, and the meeting is adjourned.